With me here in studio on this important day to share their insights and their reporting, CNN's Kara Scannell and Evan Perez, and CNN legal analyst Shan Wu and Curry Cordero. We've had a couple of hours now to digest this, which is a big deal. So let's take our time and go through the significance. So Michael Cohen says, no, these conversations did not end in January. They went deep into the election year. That matters to Michael Cohen. Now he's admitted he lied to Congress, but it matters to the president. Why and how?
It matters to the president greatly because the president has previously said that, he's talked about how he had no business interest in Russia. He's told the American public that there was nothing, no relationship with Russia that really mattered to him. And it turns out, according to Michael Cohen, and this is a version of events that we now know, the special counsel Robert Mueller believes. He believes this version. Michael Cohen is saying that deep into the campaign, after the time that the president is a presumptive nominee of the Republican Party, he's on his way to Cleveland, that they are discussing this Trump Tower Moscow project. That's a big deal. And look, what it also tells us is that beyond what this affects the president, obviously, but it also may cross the red line that the president had set forth. He said that if prosecutors go start delving into his business, that would be a red line he did not want crossed, that he could fire Robert Mueller if they did this. So red line has been crossed now.
And this is the second time the president has been referred to as individual one in court documents. Right. The second time Michael Cohen has said the President of the United States is lying. Because in putting this plea in today, it's not just saying Michael Cohen lied. Michael Cohen spoke for the president. He was the president's lawyer. When he gave that testimony, he was speaking for the Trump organization and for the President of the United States. Right. He said full stop early 2016. Now he says, no, I was lying. This went on into the campaign. This is, again, we sometimes get caught up in this and we don't step back. This is about the President of the United States. Cohen discussed the status of and progress of the Moscow project with individual one on more than 3 occasions. Cohen claimed to the committee, and he briefed family members of individual one within the company about the projects. Individual one on more than the 3 occasions he claimed to the committee. So essentially, Cohen went and lied to Congress, but it's the president and family members. Right. This is not just about the president.
That's right. I mean, and I think we also have to remember that this information, this court document, is really limited to Cohen's lies, what Cohen said. And he told Congress he never talked to the president more than 3 times. So they're saying he did more than 3 times. But there's a lot more that the special counsel's office knows. They don't have to lay it all out here. I mean, they're just laying out to contradict Cohen's lies and now for him to be on the record about what the truth is. So in saying here, yes, he did talk to the president more than 3 times and he briefed their family members, that's significant. And Michael Cohen has likely told the special counsel's office a lot more about that, which we don't know today.
And that's the key point. So please, the legal voices help me here in that we learn from the special counsel whenever he files a court document. Sometimes it's a crumb, sometimes it's a loaf, but you get the sense that, they knew the president's team and the president himself now. We're going to come out and say, no, Michael Cohen's a liar. He's a proven liar. You're even admitting he's a liar in your court documents. So what they do every time is give us a little bit of what they have. They did this in the Rick Gates trial, and they did it here with the emails. There's an email here from on or about May 4th, 2016, individual 2, who we know as Felix Sater, a gentleman who did business with the Trump organization. Individual 2 wrote to Cohen, I had a chat with Moscow. Assuming the trip does happen, the question is before or after the convention. Obviously, the pre-meeting trip, you only, can happen anytime you want, but the 2 big guys, where the question, I said, would be confirm and revert. Cohen responded, my trip before Cleveland, that's where the Republican convention was, once he becomes the nominee after the convention. Point there is not so much the particulars, although it does talk about travel to Russia, the big guys, during the presidential campaign. It's about the fact that Mueller's team has been meticulous in, okay, you're going to call him a liar? Here's the document. Here's the other witness. What did you learn today?
Right. And so the timing here is particularly threatening for the president because he's already submitted those answers. Right. And it's interesting, too, if you look at, I think, paragraph 7b, small I, they reference a senior campaign official knew about the business trip for the Moscow project. If that was Manafort, some interesting play going on. We know Manafort's plea blew up, and they may have blown it up because they knew he was lying based on Cohen's information. And now the president may have submitted false statements because his source was Manafort's team.
Sure. Well, it calls into question anybody who has been testifying to Congress because, again, this particular charge has to do with Michael Cohen lying in information that he provided to Congress in their inquiry. So Now, anybody else in the Trump family orbit who was involved in these conversations regarding the Moscow project, who has provided either testimony or written letters to Congress throughout this investigation, if they said something that's inconsistent with now Michael Cohen's truthful statement in his plea, they are now facing trouble themselves. The other thing I would add that's interesting is that Michael Cohen, in this particular document, he lied to Congress in writing. So it's a little different than if he had been testifying. Then he could come back and say, you know, I made a mistake, or I was truthful by accident, or I forgot something. I was not truthful by accident, or I forgot something. There is no wiggle room here. He lied in written documentation to Congress, which means that it was intentional. It was a deliberate lie.
And what he lied about are things the president and people who speak for the president were saying were over, long over, as a matter of fact. I have no dealings with Russia. The president said that repeatedly. I don't know what you're talking about. We looked into that project. It was over. I did the Miss Universe. We talked about a Trump Tower. It was over. It's the whole, that's what he says is the whole hoax of this. Cohen says, here's what he lied about. He says he lied about, misled Congress. Continued discussions through June 2016. Admits they did not end in January 2016. Cohen agreed to travel to Russia, asked Trump about traveling to Russia. Cohen admits to remembering, now he admits to remembering contacts with Russian officials. So it blows up this whole, once I became a candidate for president, I stopped anything that would be A, improper, or possibly coordination and collusion.
And look, John, I think one of the things that this document, these court documents really do is give us a window into what has been going on behind the scenes. I think you on this program have wondered, like, what's going on with the president? Why is he tweeting up a storm about this? And
yeah, what does he know that we don't know?
Right, and the key period is right before Thanksgiving. He was preparing to respond to Mueller with these written answers. And they were spooked. There was paranoia inside the Trump team because they thought that Mueller had something up his sleeve. We now know that this was up his sleeve. And look, sometimes you're paranoid. It doesn't mean that they're not out to get you, right? So what's at work here is that the president has been feeling that this investigation is narrowing and it's getting closer and closer, and he's very concerned about what Robert Mueller knows. Clearly, Mueller knows a lot more than we certainly have been told, and that's what's got the president so worried.
And so you watch the president's reaction. He says Cohen's lying now. Right. Cohen's lying because he wants a reduced sentence. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes people trying to get a reduced sentence, they offer information, but the special counsel files the emails, files other information, just enough to say, no, actually, we can back this up. It's Michael Cohen's not lying now. This time he's telling the truth. Help me with this one, and this is more for the lawyers, I guess. So the president says, believe what Michael Cohen told Congress. That's what the president came out and said several times, standing there outside the White House. What he told Congress is the truth. Now he's lying. The president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, issues a statement saying Michael Cohen is a liar. It's no surprise that Cohen lied to Congress. What? He's contradicting his client. The President of the United States just said, believe what he told Congress. Right. And Rudy Giuliani comes out and says, it's no surprise that Cohen lied to Congress.
Totally inconsistent. They're completely at odds with each other. Even Trump's statements by the helicopter there contradict himself, because now he's saying, let's assume he told the truth, and he starts saying, I did have that business deal going. I eventually didn't do it. So he's already contradicting his previous statements, and he's at odds with Giuliani. So they're all over the map.
It also calls into question just all of the lying. I mean, what this just adds to is that Russia was all over this campaign. Even before this plea document, there are so many documented instances of members of this campaign interacting, communicating, talking, coordinating with Russian government officials or surrogates in some way, whether it was supposedly on a diplomatic issue, whether it was potentially finding out information about hacking activities to assist the campaign, and now it was with respect to private Trump organization, business organizations. They were all over this campaign.
Well, let's take a quick time out. We'll come back and pick up on that very conversation.